Hey there, it's JohnBerry555 and welcome to my review of Star Trek Lower Decks Season 3, Episode 6, Hear All, Trust Nothing. So this is the episode where they go to Deep Space Nine, and we actually get two characters from Deep Space Nine showing up. Obviously, it's Quark and Kira. Okay, not obviously, because I guess technically Bashir and Ezri were still on the station at the end of DS9. It wouldn't say that you're leaving, like, Worf or Miles or even Cisco, The characters left the show on Deep Space Nine, but we only get to see two of them. Makes sense. So, that's essentially this. But this episode is basically Deep Space Nine fan service. We get to see some aliens from the Delta Quadrant. We get to see Deep Space Nine. We get to see Quark scheming. We get to see Kira being mad at Quark for scheming. We get all of that. I mean, that's essentially what the main focus of this episode is all about. It's just focusing all on Deep Space Nine fan service. But they made it work because, one, in the story, the Cerritos was not the original ship to be doing the negotiations on Deep Space Nine. It was some other ship that was supposed to be, but apparently something happened and the Cerritos got sent in its place. But what I really love is they find this out 1 second before getting to Deep Space Nine. So Captain Freeman goes basically to her bedroom okay, I gotta just do some quick studying up so she knows, to successfully negotiate. And so Ransom orders the helmsman, who's I think it's the trip. What's her name? Okay, I totally forgot her name. It's blanking on me, but basically orders the three just fly around, pretend we're marrying the pylons, and this is in the cold open, and we can hear the Deep Space Nine theme while they're doing this. That is just so crazy, and it ends, and then they do it again. And then we get to see the actual Lower Decks intro. But I do kind of like how they did that, though, because just throw that fan service in. They made it so that the characters needed to delay. Which I think, which in many ways is actually a very unique way of doing it. What you're saying is to give us a fan service, we're giving the characters a reason why that's going to occur. In this case, it's they need to delay some time, so us in the audience get to hear some sweet music while that occurs. And then of course that's kind of the overarching thing, and at the end everything, I could easily see the non-Lower Decks part of the story, so i.e. the story that the senior officers are dealing with. Yeah, I could see that actually happening in an episode of Deep Space Nine. But when you talk about the story for our main characters, the Lower Deckers, we essentially have two stories: a Mariner story and a Tindy story. We're going to start with the Mariner because I actually like the Tindy story a bit better for one simple reason, but I'll get there. With Mariner, basically, it's been alluded before that she's served on Deep Space Nine, that she knows the station, that so to her it's nothing special like it's for Rutherford, Tindy, and Boimler who've never been there. She's like, yeah, it's just some space station. But so basically what it is basically she's going to basically a salon with Jennifer. In case you haven't been paying attention, Mariner and Jennifer are dating in the show. So, just something to throw out there. But what we get to see is Mariner, wanting some friendly teasing from her friends about her being bossy and that, but she's like, what if I give a bad impression? We don't, we're seeing Mariner start maturing, so she's thinking of, season 1 Mariner, yeah, she would have just been her typical self during this entire event. But no, it's, she's grown some, so she's, she tries to, behave, in which case it, makes her more uncomfortable, if that makes sense. I think her trying to behave made her more uncomfortable. So in some ways, I would say her story is learning that at times that she needs to get her act together, but sometimes she needs to be herself and can't, do it, and she just needs to be herself and not always follow the rules, which is weird because this is Mariner, but this is Mariner trying to make a good impression, It does make sense. She has her fears and anxieties, and she needs to work through them, and that's what happens here. I kind of learned that Jennifer's okay with Mariner going out and, being herself. Jennifer specifically states that she likes that. Maybe she liked it too much, when the ice support got turned off. part of the senior officer story with Quark's scheme. It's hilarious, but anyhow. So basically once Jennifer tells Mariner that it's okay for you to take charge, I like that about you, she just starts phasing all of Jennifer's friends. It is hilarious. And Jennifer's just jumping up and down, excited. Okay, I can see why this pairing will work in the show. I can see that developing very well. But the craziest thing is, at the end, they have to phase it themselves because it's going to be a bad look. I have a feeling if Ransom was the one who discovered that, yeah, Mariner did this. I don't even think he would have a second guess on that. He would probably instantly assume because, he's been keeping an eye on her to make sure she, ships up. And they really didn't address that part of the season-long story, but still, that's probably also in the back of Mariner's head, too. But the thing is, everyone probably, all these people were stunned. Not just, ran out of oxygen and passed out. No, stunned. Yeah, I have a feeling they'll figure out it was Mariner. But still, that's not some people might call that plot hole. I don't call that plot hole. I call that everyone know it and everyone were just yep, as to be expected. She did what was needed. We'll forget about it. Because in this situation, they probably would understand. But, actually, I'm sure they would. Because that wasn't part of the story. It doesn't matter, really. But, yeah, it's kind of an interesting story there. But going back to the Tindy story, basically, well, of course, on Deep Space Nine, they meet another Orion Starfleet officer. Which, as far as we know, Tindy was the only one. Though this Orion was also sinking. So we get to see, and this Orion, I'm going to say it, he's basically the Orion equivalent of Worf. So like Worf, this Orion was raised by humans. Everything he knows about his species' culture comes from literature, from what humans know. That's his entire context. And so like Worf, he's trying to portray the ideal Orion. Well, Worf is trying to do the ideal Klingon, but it's that same kind of mentality, since Orion's a pirate, have to have a pirate multitude, have to talk like a pirate, like an Orion pirate, have to, always be, singing Orion pirate songs, that kind of stuff. Which Tindy was yeah, she's not into that, and clearly he does not take a hint. Rutherford doesn't really pick up on it either until Tindy spells it out to him, but that's kind of, Rutherford is a very much go with the flow kind of guy, so that does kind of make sense, so. But the thing is, they get into a situation, again, this is all because of Quark, but anyhow, they're trapped on an alien ship. Well, actually, technically, there's only one human, 2 aliens, and the Starfleet crew on there that got trapped on the board of the ship, so it's really an alien ship, a non-Federation ship, a non-Starfleet ship. And regardless, though, is they get trapped in there, and the Orions, I forget his name, but basically admits that, yeah, he was faking everything, that he was raised in Cincinnati and all that by humans, that he was adopted, very much like Worf. I think they made that comparison on purpose. But he did have that basically an Orion multi-tube, pirate tube type thing, where Tindy takes in and uses the actual pirate skills, because she actually knows that. And reveals that she was taught all that stuff by her father. We also, earlier in the episode, did relearn that Tindy doesn't have any of the Orion female pheromones, which is unusual. So that is still lots of interesting stuff going on there. But it's she knows those skills. So clearly, she was raised to be an Orion pirate, but I don't think she ever felt comfortable with that lifestyle. I have a feeling there's so much more that can be explored. I know some other reviewers brought some potential plot lines up. But still, I think the most important thing in my opinion is the exploration into Orion culture and what are expected of people. I have a feeling that is what we're going to get from Tindy's overarching story as she grows as a character, as we learn more about her past. That, she was expected to be one thing, but she wanted to be something else. For career-wise, clearly, she was expected to be an Orion Pirate Queen, more likely than not, but she'd rather go into Starfleet Sciences and Medical. But yeah, so that is very interesting. I find that a very interesting story because, we don't know a lot about Orions outside of them being pirates. And so that is something very interesting to take a note on. Few other things I would like to mention. It's established that Shax and Kira knew each other back during the Bajoran Resistance, and apparently they had a thing where, where they were always trying not to be in each other's death for saving each other's lives. And it became a running joke through the episode. All that. Quark has franchised his bar out. He stole the replicator technology. That kind of stuff. Common scheming, and he ends up with the raw stick at the end of the episode. Oh, yeah, this is hilarious. Boimler doing all this is playing Dabo. Excellent luck. It's like, he's convinced that he wouldn't get cheated at Quark's, which really he doesn't get cheated, which is something to note. But the most hilarious thing is at the end, and one of the Ferengi workers in Quark's bar comes up like, so you can take all this, that, and we can give you a voucher for the gift shop. And so what does one do? He takes the voucher and is like, we don't even use money in Starfleet anyhow. And then the other thing is, he just faints or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it's hilarious because it's like, yeah, he was just playing to play Dabble. He didn't care about the money, which is probably something that we did kind of see a little bit in Deep Space Nine, but not to the same extent, because, except for Jadzia Dax, nobody really played any of the Ferengi games. So that is something just thought of right now. But that covers kind of my overall thoughts. There's other stuff I can talk about, but that's, I think, a good, sufficient review. What I thought was interesting, what interesting story developments that might arise from it. And there's so much more I could talk about, but I need to keep it concise. Well, as concise as I can be. Anyhow, I would like to hear from you, since you've heard enough from me. Let me know in the comment section down below, what did you think of this episode of Star Trek Lower Decks? I would love to hear your thoughts. Also, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, share, all the normal stuff. Check out any links down below. And as always, have a day, a good night, wherever you are. Live long and prosper.